We don't play the social game. We are social. Power 98.5.
Hi, this is Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio.
You're listening to Power 98.5, powered by United Angels Dream, your #1 resource for public relations, entertainment, and multimedia. Contact them today at unitedangelsdream.com.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Stephen Cuoco.
Hey guys, this is Connor Weil. Your kids, nieces, and nephews will probably recognize me from Disney Channel, whether I was skateboarding it up alongside Dove Cameron on Liv and Maddie, or being a double secret agent alongside Zendaya on KC Undercover. Most of you will probably recognize me as Will Belmont from season 1 of Scream on MTV. A lot has changed since then. I've had a lot of fun, and I'd love to share that with you. Tune into my live interview with acclaimed radio personality Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5.
Stephen Cuoco. At what point did you realize when you started looking into public relations, started looking into casting, you know what, Stephen, I'm pretty damn good at this. I think we should keep following this path.
It really is effortless, Donovan. I mean, it would be the same of how you do your show. When you bring your all to the table with great intentions and no expectations, it just makes life fun, and it makes the career of choice fun. People are loving that I'm adding in that bonus clip, that clip from when I was interviewed by the great and extraordinary Donovan on the How Did show. He's still shaking it up. He works in voiceover. You've had to have heard him on practically every major network show when they do their introductions and their interviews. He's incredible. Donovan Corneets, look him up, Google him. He takes you behind the scenes. He's done work with, Ryan and Kelly, Good Morning America, Subway. Like the credits are like extraordinary, extraordinary. He's one of my dearest friends, and I appreciate him very much. Yeah, you heard, we've got Connor on today. A lot of people are excited, whether you're listening to us on the iOS or Android app, or on power985.com. Click the bottom right-hand messenger. Send us or share with us your love. If you want us to do a shout-out, whatever it may be, head on over and download the app, or you can also listen to us on Alexa. There's no reason why. And for free, no subscriptions needed. Just download the app, tune in on Alexa, or you head on over to power985.com. where all the latest and greatest in news, talk, sports, and much more is happening. We just had my good friend Leonardo Cecchi, actor. He was just on the 6th on Monday. If you were unable to listen to that live interview here on Power 98.5, head on over to your favorite podcast channel, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Amazon Audible, and you'll be able to catch up on the latest and greatest on all of my shows of Live On Air with Stephen Cuoco. We just had yesterday, Wednesday, Christos Andrews. He I was getting to that, Brian. I love my team. It was his second time. Christos was on my show. Christos Andrews, he is the star, one of the stars on The Bay, and we're going to be having 2 more of the actors. I'm going to leave it up to it being a surprise of who those actors are. One has been around since the 80s. I used to watch him as a kid on a lot of films back then. I never thought I would be interviewing this guy, and I'm not spilling the tea just yet. We will have more information later on. So always remember, go to my Instagram, Stephen Cuoco, StevenCuoco. You've also got Power 98.5 Radio Instagram page, as well as my public relations firm, United Angels Dream, 2-time award-winning agency, fully licensed, registered, and insured. and I can work anywhere in the world and with anyone. And honestly, if you have any questions, I'll spill the tea on that. I will tell you how and why and what the responsibility and the reality of what it means to work and to work with a public relations representative. Do you guys have that for me? I know. Yes, there we go. Thank you. I had it up and I'm like, where did this go? Darn computer. Is it starting to get, is AI taking over on my computer? Is it starting to think for itself? Doing its own thing without my special command. We've got Connor, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. Connor fell in love with acting when he first walked on stage at age 10. At age 16, he moved to Los Angeles and he never looked back. Connor can most recently be seen on Acapulco. Acapulco. Oh, Lord. Connor, I hear you laughing. Acapulco, right? Acapulco. Yeah.
I thought I was a better actor than that. Acapulco. You nailed
Acapulco. Yeah, I heard you. I was like, wait a minute. And Little America, both on Apple TV Plus and later this year on the new Netflix show, Obliterated. I'm going to tell you, and I've been sharing this with some people, Apple TV Plus is my new favorite. Their shows, their cinematography, everything is echelon.
They are amazing. They just have the full spectrum of content, from very serious and like culturally respectful and prominent to just the fun comedies that they have. They are taking over. Really great company to be a part of.
Yeah, they are the place to be. I just shared this with someone who's got a show on a network, and I said, you guys need to start looking into Apple TV. You go on there, the visuals are just beautiful. Like, compared to Netflix, and don't get me wrong, I like Netflix, but just Netflix has its own vibe and look. When in comparison, it's like when I think about Netflix, I think about Kohl's. When I think about in Apple TV Plus, I see Louis Vuitton and Bentley. Like, it's just got it to look at it. It's beautiful. It's a jewel. Like, everything is just so perfectly put together.
It really is. There's so much thought put into from their content straight down to how you as a user can select it on your Apple TV. You know, it's just like you said, beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Past credits include Will Belmont on Scream. We've got to talk about this. I did watch the first season, or almost the first season. I did not watch after that. Is this show still going on, and what connection are you still involved in this show?
Great question. I obviously stayed pretty close with the cast through season 2. No spoilers, but my story ends in season 1. But through season 2, really stayed close with the cast and the people a part of it. And then in season 3, they actually, I believe it was Queen Latifah, bought it, took it over, and moved it, I believe, from MTV to HGTV, I believe. HGTV? That's totally wrong. That's Home Network. Anyway, it was a total switch up of cast and vibe, and I know some fans loved it. Some fans were a little skeptical about it. I have not since been involved in any way. It was kind of the first and second seasons were my in there.
Well, we're just going to leave it as that, because sometimes you just don't mess with something when it just works. When it works.
Sure.
Well. Yeah.
There's talk of a revival. There's been inklings of like, why don't we bring this back? Wouldn't that be great? But I think everybody says that about pretty much everything these days. So I don't hold my breath.
Here is a show that I was extremely skeptical about and ended up enjoying. Found a little bit of ridiculousness a part of it, because I have high standards, especially when I think of classics. Could we ever potentially see you, or is there a possibility on Chucky?
Whoa, that's an interesting question. I think if you treat it correctly, there is a way to do that. And of course I would love to be a part of that. Absolutely.
It's got potential. I was enjoying the show. I watched the first season. A friend of mine turned me on to it. I was hesitant. I was like, really? Like, how could I go from a movie or no, a movie to a show? And I'm like, okay, I'm actually somewhat enjoying this. I'm just very finicky about things that may come across unrealistic, or it's like, can we make it a little bit more realistic? It's like, do we need to dumb down the actors of, like, they're going to pause that long to watch something happen? My ass is out the door real quick. You're not going to see me look back.
You nailed that. And I think that's what was so brilliant about how they handled Scream was they updated it to the kind of digital technological age. For those of you who watched it, if you remember, there was a lot of like texting and Twitter, and the killer was like stalking the cast with tweets, and it was like very brought up to feel like it could be today. It's no longer the campy 80s where I don't have a cell phone. Of course you do. Everybody has a cell phone, you know? So how do you do that? And that's why we had fun, was we departed enough to where people didn't go, well, you just knocked off the movie, but we still held true to what made it so fantastic in the first place. We really were proud of it.
Your credits are supreme, and you're so very young. You've got reoccurring role on Roadies on Showtime. You have NCIS LA, that was on CBS, or that's still on CBS. The Goldbergs on ABC. Sharknado on Sci-Fi. You played alongside Oscar winner Kevin Costner in McFarland, USA. How, yes. Like, your credits are just going and going, and these aren't like small credits. These are, you know, big time network, and their show recognized by many.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun. I've been doing this for 13 years, you know, and I'm very blessed to look a little bit younger than my actual age. So I've been able to really dive into those kind of younger, fun roles, and I just enjoy working. I just enjoy fun characters, and whether it's one line or 12 lines, it doesn't matter. I just so enjoy this. So thank you. I appreciate that compliment.
Sarah from Cleveland, she wants to give a shout out. She saw the post on Power 98.5 Radio Instagram page. She's loving the family photo. I don't know if you saw that, but we had the video of you, the one that we just played, and then we added the second post. And I thought to myself, I really want to have this included because I know you sent that in a separate email. And I felt a lot of good energy from that. And I thought to myself, most people don't send close type of photos like that about themselves into their private world. I'm like, we need to include this into the post.
Thank you. I love it. You know what's funny is I've always been very private about my personal life, my family life. I just like to protect my kids first and foremost, but just protect those who I love around me. But lately, it's been kind of the realest part of my life. You and me, Stephen, had a conversation a couple of days ago about transition, and as you near certain ages of your life, just being able to transition. And I am in such this beautiful family place that I couldn't help but send it along, because I was like, this is real. This is me. I'm a husband. I'm a father. And that's just what's going on in my life. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said, if you want to take a look, it is on the Power 98.5 Radio Instagram page. It is a beautiful photo. I was surprised that you sent it, but not having the opportunity to still be able to get to know you and who you are and who you're about and what you're doing. And I find you to be absolutely extraordinary in a way to where you're articulate, you are strategic in a very good way, you're smart with your decision making, and you're picking and choosing really great roles that match who you are when it comes to integrity and professionalism. And I have not seen or witnessed or heard any contradiction in that. And you've stayed true to yourself, and you're continuing to stay true to yourself. And I really hope that you recognize that and you're proud of yourself for that, Connor. And it really does warrant and need to be recognized.
Wow. Well, first of all, that's why I called today. Thank you for that. No, I'm blown away. Thank you so much for that. Because that's, as an artist, as an actor, as somebody who has a family to care for, you wonder, you have doubts. You really want to be the best version of yourself, and you want to be successful, but you also want to be present and all of these things. So, really, to hear you say that means more than you could ever know. So, thank you.
And I want to thank, you're welcome. And I want to thank Marcos Papadatos. He put this together. I want to say congratulations on the recent article. This was just a while back on Digital Journal. Connor, you talk about Acapulco on Apple TV Plus. And I'm going to tell you, I don't say that word very long. And when I was trying to pronunciate it and was like, am I pronunciating this correctly? I chopped that up as a kid. I think I said Acapulco or something like that, you know, as like a 5-6-year-old. And I'm going to say thank you for bringing back the memory of a word I rarely don't see. And I'm going to tell you that I most likely never had said in probably over 2 decades.
Well, I'm sure the memories are flooding back. Oh, yes. Well, you know what's funny is, so the show Acapulco, it's shot in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which is just so beautiful as well. And it's Mexico in general, just a beautiful country. But as soon as I started to post about it, I had friends be like, oh my God, like 20 years ago, I stayed at this hotel in Acapulco with my husband. I had so many people just like you just now were like, oh my God, the memories. Like, it is, what a fun, a fun word and a fun memory for a lot of people. I had no idea. It's so great.
Well, when you think of Acapulco, from my memory as a kid from the 70s and 80s, that was a common word. We heard that a lot. It was a destination that you went to, no different. It was a 70s and 80s destination. That was it. Everybody knew, just like when you think of Miami or Fort Lauderdale. Those were common go-to destinations. I'm going to honestly say I'm still catching up and getting more involved into Apple TV Plus. I'm not too sure or understand why I haven't engaged into this show, knowing that I have access to it. I really want to look into this and to find out more about it, because this is awesome.
It's so awesome. Really, my experience there was incredible, because half the cast on that show, first of all, it's a very fun show. It's a very easy watch in a great way. It's charming. It's funny. You really do care about the characters. I've had so many agents, managers who have seen it were like, oh my God, the show's actually funny. That was the main reply I have gotten about that show. But half the cast is American. Half the cast are Mexican actors, straight from Mexico City and the surrounding provinces. They are some of the most professional, hardest working people I have ever worked with, hands down. They choreograph their own dances. They sing their brains out. They rehearse nonstop to get it perfect. And you can see it in the performances. And it was such a lovely atmosphere to be a guest cast in. I wasn't even there 5 minutes. Hi, Connor, how are you? I'm so welcoming. It was really incredible experience. So
I've got the trailer. It's on silent right now, and I'm watching it, and it's almost has it's like a comedy type of, is it like a comedy drama? It feels, I don't know what to pin this as.
Right. And like you said, Apple TV is just rocking their own kind of space right now. It's a comedy drama. It's jokes that will get you to laugh unexpectedly, but there is a dramatic through line that you root for. And just your point, it is set in the 1980s. So you nailed it right on the head without even knowing it.
Which, this is where age and being on this world really serves you so well, of having an understanding and experiencing history to recognize that. I'm continuing to watching this. Please tell me, I am a big former fan of the original Fantasy Island. Why am I somewhat, even though I'm not listening, I'm watching, why am I somewhat getting a little bit of a vibe of the old version of Fantasy Island with this as well?
That is so funny. I personally have to be honest. I don't think I've caught an episode of the old school Fantasy Island yet. I apologize, but I bet you that was intentional. I bet you there's a reason why you're feeling that way right now. They just paid such attention to detail of that whole vibe as you're watching right now. They literally go down and they paint an entire hotel down in Puerto Vallarta. So it's their set. They have a whole hotel grounds that is their playground to shoot this show. And it's perfect in my opinion.
I'm going to honestly say to everyone, whether you're Gen Z, millennial, if you were not old enough in the 80s, I'm going to say like 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever it may have been. I know that for myself, I will appreciate watching this because I understand it. And this is, like you said, it's the 80s. It's of my generation. It's very interesting for someone to say your generation, Connor, knowing that they don't have that younger history of experience. It must feel different for people that don't come from the 80s to watch this.
You're right. You're right. I feel like it allows the nostalgia and yet allows the new generation to latch onto it as well, because that's just a recipe for success. We all love nostalgia, right? And then at the same time, what is new, what is fresh? And I think that's what they're just nailing. Absolutely.
It's also great for marketing. You know, you got to figure the old execs are the people that are still ticking through time and holding on to it in Hollywood. This is how they're able to make, not saying Apple TV Plus or Acapulco with this show. It's a way to grab onto your generation and younger people, is to sort out how can we remake or revamp or do something with iconic roles or people in films and television shows, and to bring it from history into our current state of being and state of mind and regurgitate it. Sometimes it works. Like for this show, it totally works. And I'm going to tell you, it's got a little bit of a fantasy island. Most people may or may not understand what I mean by that. You're going to have to watch and just get the vibe and feel, because Fantasy Island had the same way. It was a comedy drama. It had mystery to it. And that's something that I pulled even with this just by watching the trailer, is it feels like it has mystery, and not so much within the context and narrative. It's within the characters. I feel that the characters, just by listening in silent, or not listening, watching in silent of just the trailer that's in front of me, it's the whole point of this show is, who are these people and why are these people important? And that's what I feel just from the visual effect of the animation of how people are moving and using their body language throughout this entire trailer.
That's so cool that you're able to pick that up, because that's it. The storyline itself is about an older version of the lead character telling a story to his nephew. And then as the story unfolds, we get shot back in time to the 80s when it is happening. And so you nailed it. It's a comedy drama that absolutely just ropes in the new generation to experience what it was like in the 80s. And the nephew's character, as you'll see, the nephew is a total Gen Zer. The actor, I'm forgetting his name, and I'm terrible for it, but he has this great general Gen Z vibe where it's all like TikTok and Twitter and bruh and all of the things. And he's learning from his uncle of a past generation about all of these beautiful things. So you nailed it right on the head.
I'm going to drop a secret, and this is something I shared. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to why. I was recently interviewed by Izzy Baker. That interview should be out in my birthday month. I believe he said towards, the end of April or so. English or speaking is not my first language. My first language is to do what we are designed to do, and that's body language. My grandfather was in the military. They have a different name for it. I'm going to say, in my interpretation, he was an interrogator for for the military.
Wow.
And he taught me at a very young age how to learn how to speak and read my environment and other people. He always said, keep your mouth shut and you will learn more than when you speak. I understood it, but didn't understand it because you're a child. There were other extenuating circumstances that enhance, and I would say, if it's the right word, exacerbated the gift that I have. But it's, and I don't mind spilling the beans. So also my family struggled with drug addiction and alcoholism. And this is something I shared with Izzy Baker when I had said that because I had dyslexia as a child, but my environment is what fueled that. I did grow out of it. The doctor said that I would. Also because of the way I was learning, because I didn't have interactions. I didn't really have friends. I only had my cousins at times. But when the type of environment that I grew up is when my family wanted to zone out or to escape, they would either drug us kids up, and it didn't work because I burned it off because my parents or my family didn't realize that depressants work as stimulants. So I got wired off of it. So if you were to give me a Valium or something as a kid, I would zoom. If you give me coffee, and still to this day, I can go to sleep on coffee.
I'm with you. I can do the same.
Yeah.
Keep going, please.
And so with that, I just grew up in an environment where when my family was in that certain situation, it helped me to grow and learn and enhance even more through the fact that I had to analyze everything my family and what people were doing in my environment because I was constantly in fight or flight mode. I'm sharing this because what I just shared with you is I didn't need the sound. I didn't need to turn on the volume. I just watched the body language of this trailer. And to sum it up for Acapulco and what that means for me and what I am obviously articulating from this show that I'm going to enjoy most is watching and observing the language of how people are moving and interacting in this show than anything else. And to close by saying, still to this day, to strengthen and enhance my gift, because I really enjoy this most, because animals do it. Animals use sound, but they use chemical reaction and because we all communicate chemically and bodily first before we communicate through language and sound. That's a medical and scientific fact. I still to this day from time to time, even with foreign films and shows, I will keep the volume off and I will just watch the body language and the eye contact and how the actors are working. And that helps me determine who is processing from the script, because there's two areas of people in your career. There are actors that act, but they process from script reading, or there are actors that are emotionally, empathically, and intuitively, they are translating what they had read and interpreted from the script through their own interpretation. And that's what I've noticed with you, and especially when you did the promo video, is you will take information in. However, you empathically and intuitively process that as Connor, and you translate that through your own way of communication. And it is body language. I see it's inflection. You're very mindful and aware of inflection. I had observed in what I heard, and you're very coherent and competent when it comes to engaging and perceiving what a possible reaction or response would be. And you're prepared for it, and you're very elevated. And I noticed that from a psychological level, that your mind is much more enhanced and advanced than possibly either you're aware of, or you may not have been challenged enough in the roles that you have been given to be able to utilize how intellectual you really are.
Wow. Thank you. I want to start off by saying thank you for being vulnerable with what you just said. That was really cool to just learn that about you. And that's not always the easiest thing to say, especially in our business, where there's a lot of privacy and a lot of people who don't want to listen. And there's just a lot of things. So I thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah, I feel that sometimes. I feel that sometimes where my mind knows what's going on. And I'm like, yes, I get this. I've really had to train that muscle. It's funny you bring up what you do with foreign films and with other things you watch where you turn the volume off. I've had so many acting coaches tell us to do that as an acting exercise to stimulate that side of our brain. It's not just words and lines and wait for your cue. It's body language, and it's everything that has come, I'll say, naturally to you, circumstantially to you, but it's a part of acting that a lot of actors miss, and I've been trying actively to bring that up because a lot of the characters I play in this business are jerk, bro-y white guys. And that's my typecast, and I embrace it. I love it. It's really fun. I get to be the bad guy sometimes, which is just as important to the story. But the body language with that, whether it's cockiness, whether it's just defeated, whatever it is, I try to bring that in. Sometimes successfully, sometimes not so much. That's just being an artist. But I thank you. I thank you for that, because that's the biggest compliment I could get.
And it's deserved, and it's at its most perfect time. And I'm very appreciative to have shared that with you, because you are successful and you've been doing everything that is meant for you. I encourage you now, emotionally, mentally, intuitively, and professionally. It is time for you to take on a lot more roles. And I'm going to honestly say, with all due respect to the original actor, you know who I would say that I would like to see you in if they ever did a remake is Dahmer. I know you would play an exceptional Jeffrey Dahmer. After the reality one, and that famous actor who played, I don't know his name off, I only have him visually in my head. That is the type of role I would like to see you in. I would also like to see you play alongside Matthew McConaughey. I know you two, and I believe for a fact you two would do exceptionally well. These are roles that you are ready for.
Thank you. You speak that into existence for me, brother. Let's go. But I respect both of those actors, and I respect that vibe and that wavelength, because I'm ready for those roles now. And maybe a year or two ago, I wouldn't have been. It's just interesting how timing works into everything about what you are ready for at what time. And I feel like that's so funny you say that today, because that is my main piece of advice for any artist, anybody who doesn't feel like they're at their own potential, is trust the timing and trust when you are ready for it. And I cannot say that without acknowledging that I am terrible at it. I am the most stressed out, think that I'm failing person ever, and I never listen to my own advice. So I apologize to everyone listening for that. But that's just, I try to practice what I preach, but I can say it confidently to others and try to practice it myself. But trust the time, and that's all I got.
And remember, a wise person told me this many years ago, and it's been a saving grace, and I felt my entire psyche and body and embodiment move when she had said this. It is not about perfection, it's about progress. And that is something I feel is very important for you to continue to recognize and respect.
That shifted something to me when you just said that just now. I hear that loud and clear. Thank you.
Also, I see you dancing in a studio, so it's definitely going to be about progress and not perfection.
Yeah, you saw that.
It's really good. What is this for? You're auditioning?
That was actually, it was an audition, and I got to work with a really good friend of mine on that routine and on that audition, so I was proud enough of it. I grew up with a little bit of a dance background alongside my acting, and so I always love to do it when I can. It is clearly not my forte, but it's fun to stay in it and stay loose, and it's fun.
Are you ever planning on working with Brad Everett? Everyone should know him if they don't. His photos of you are really superior. When are you working with him again?
Say, who was it again? I'm sorry, I just missed
Brad
that one
Everett,
part.
the photographer?
Yes, he is the one who introduced me to Marcos, who introduced me to you. It is just a wonderful web of good people. Brad is an exceptional photographer. His name is Brad Everett Young, as Stephen just said. We worked together first off back in 2015, right after Scream premiered, and he blew my mind with his photography. He literally just makes it about you. That's why he works with such amazing people, is he lights you and shoots you in a way that is flattering, that is so that you feel good about yourself. Which I know a lot of photographers aim to do that. So all love and respect, but there's just something special about Brad. And then he doesn't have an ego, and he doesn't demand payment. He doesn't do anything. He just wants it to be good, and he wants to just do good work. And he is reaping the benefits of that mentality now. He is just on fire. Everybody wants to shoot with him. His photos have just changed my world.
They're perfect. They're beautiful. I absolutely love them. And Brad and I have been following each other for quite a long time. At least nearly 10 years I've been familiar with Brad's work and what he does. And
it's time for a coffee. You two it's time for a coffee.
Yeah. I'm going to honestly say that you would think, though, and I've reached out to him, and as you said, unless he reaches out to you, it is not easy to get in contact with him. And you would think after almost a decade, I would have his phone number, and I don't have his phone number.
Oh, yeah. It happens. People are busy, and it's when it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. But hey, let me do a shout out. Let's see if we can make that happen. Yeah. Say it right here, right now.
Exactly. And definitely, you ever speak to him or talk to him again, or even knowing that, and I didn't know Marcos knows Brad, gonna have to put it in there. Brad, it's time to connect with Stephen.
It's done. I'll do it right after we hang up. I promise.
Thank you.
It's time.
It is time. Thank you for that. You wrote, "My only flaw, I care too much about my patients." All right, this was from your recent post on February 23rd. This is on your Instagram page. Tell us more about this, because you look exceptional in scrubs.
Thank you so much. You know what? Last year, I decided to get really intentional about what future roles I would like to play. And I was kind of tired of being the whatever you need guy as in my acting journey. And I wanted to be like, here's what I want. And so with that, there's cowboy in there, as I'm sure you can see on some other posts. I'm a little want to play a cowboy, but I also would love to play a doctor. I feel like that would just be so much fun in whatever capacity that manifests itself. So a lot of my Instagram posts have become like, this is me. This is me as this role. It's fun. It's artistic, whether casting likes it or they think I'm just being silly or I'm playing dress up. That's okay. I enjoy it very much.
Yeah, it's you look great in every, especially the cowboy works. It's something I would expect you to be in. A cowboy hat and a denim jacket, you look exceptional. It's really interesting to see you, like when you're riding on a horse, like that look. It's a very Yellowstone type of vibe, and in the scrubs, and then you've got yourself in the suit. You're doing a character study, ranch hand, late 1800s. I like that vibe. You look exceptional in a trench coat. I'm shocked. Okay, so I'm looking at this post. This is the first time I believe I've ever seen you shirtless. How are you keeping that physique looking the way it looks? The stomach is so flat, you can make it as a chittery board.
Well, thank you. It's all lighting. I will just spill that tea. Listen, as an actor, yes, you are told to stay in shape. And I've been told a lot by different people, hey, if you were to gain 10 pounds of muscle, like the world would open up for you as an actor. And let's just be honest. I have a lot of respect for anybody in a family situation, anybody who works to provide for their family or their loved ones or pets, whoever it is in your life that you love. You don't always have time to be at the gym for 2 hours. You just don't. Stephen, do you spend 2 hours at the gym, or are you too busy being amazing, doing everything that you do? You know, what do you do for your gym?
Exactly what you said. I'm too busy being amazing.
Correct. See, there it is. But truly, yeah. Like if anybody who's like, oh man, they have like a dad who's fat or what, dude, that dad is working his butt off to provide, or that mom is just doing everything she can to make sure her kids are happy and safe. So people don't have time to be perfect. I'm very lucky. I don't have to work a 9 to 5. It is just a blessing that I don't know why I was chosen to not have that, but I'm so blessed. I get to spend time with my family. I don't have time to spend 2 hours in the gym. I just don't want to be away from my kids, away from my wife. So I probably put in about 30 minutes a day. That's my discipline, is I can put 30 minutes a day into my body and my temple and that side of my business. And then I have other things to do. So I appreciate the compliment. There's a lot of genetics in there. I am very blessed genetically, that some people may have, some people may have better, some people may not have. I keep it good enough is my end of that answer. Good enough that it looks good, but it's not going to be bodybuilder level. There you go.
And eating, obviously, how is your nutrition? Do you find that because you can put in a half hour, it really does start as what a lot of nutritionists or some fitness trainers would say, in the kitchen?
It does start in the kitchen, and I have to tell you, I am not being good about it. Our conversation a few days ago about eating to blood type and eating to age range, and that like has opened thought processes with me on how to just start eating better. But when you have a kid who's demanding cereal from you, you can't help but just shove a spoonful, a handful in your mouth, and you just kind of are in that phase of like, man, I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to do this, whatever excuse. It's a check-in to go, look, you can't, what is the phrase? You can't work out a bad nutritional system or a bad diet, right? So it really does start with that. I see it. Other people may not see it because my genetics don't, whatever, but I see it when I eat too much junk. I see it in the mirror and I go, crap, and I ease it back, but it does start with the diet, and I'm not the best at that yet. Full honesty, Father Stephen.
I get it. And here's where we're at. Enjoy it while you're younger, because your body does change every 7 years. That is a medical and scientific fact. I am starting, I'm going into my new 7th year. I call it my new year, my everything. Your hair changes, your bones change. It is true. Your ears change. The side, like certain things and certain structures change. And you're how old, if I may ask?
Yeah, I am 29. I will be turning 30 at the end of this year. Whoa.
In 20s, that's where everything is like you're 29, you're getting ready for the new decade. And I know we had a conversation about that, of what that decade could look like. 30s is very interesting. 30s is where your body and your cells and everything is adjusting. It's that middleman. It's between the 20s and the 50s. And I'm going to say from experience and knowing this well enough, your 30s is a place and stage where you get down to making and having to make all the right decisions on what your next 20 years is going to look like. And it's your 40s and 50s. And it also sets the stage of a lot of emotional and mental adjustments, because you are now coming out of that child and that young adult stage. It is a medical and scientific fact that the prefrontal cortex is the last part of the brain that develops and normally finishes developing for most by the age of 27. You are out of your brain development now at 29. It can go some people a little later. It depends on the environment. It depends on their learning. It depends on other extenuating circumstances can either shorten it or prolong the development of your brain.
Wow.
So theoretically, you are out of the final or the finishing touches of your complete brain development, meaning that all your behavior patterns, your learning, your memory, your skills, your adaptability is complete and is not finite. It's just everything you know and what to do of how to survive and thrive is now cemented. And what you do within your free will and how you choose to live, Connor, is entirely up to you of how you either stay within that programming and that continued development, because we always will continue development, just at different stages and at different range and lengths. You're in a position and going into the 30s to where you are now moving out of the young man into young adult manhood. And whatever it is that you want to do, however you want to feel about yourself, however and whatever type of life you would like to live with your family and your son, and what you would like for him to learn by you and for you to learn by him, is going to be most important within this next decade. I guarantee you.
Wow. It's funny when you put it to words, because I've definitely felt that. Like, I know in astrology, I was told this years ago, in the astrology practice, it's called like your Saturn return, right? Around 27, 28, when you finally just go, wait, this is what I want with my life. Wait, I need to change this and start doing this. And I laughed about it until I felt it. Like you just said, medically, scientifically, the brain cerebral cortex, that is just so interesting to me, because it's true. And my friends are going through it at the same time, where you're like, holy crap, look at us all start to figure it out around this time. And you do. And the 30s, not as an age, not as a socially accepted age thing, not like, oh no, here comes my 30s, but as a next decade, like you just said, I do go, oh my God, what is it going to hold? What does it mean? I'm finally respected as a grown adult. What does that entail? And I have a son, I have kids, right? All this stuff. And it's like keeping yourself you still have to continue to learn. You still have to continue to mold and not go any place that you don't want to go. So you've put me at peace, Stephen. I feel much calmer today than I did yesterday about that.
You're very welcome. And it's exciting. And I will say lastly, whatever it is, and this is the caveat, this is the go-to of the hidden gem everyone needs to know. I don't know why this cosmic or universal rule is like this, and it's there. Whatever it is that you are resisting to learn, you refuse to learn, you're being juvenile and stubborn and arrogant and adamant about learning in order to be able to advance and enhance better peace and greater peace of mind and understanding in your 20s. The 30s is a very long 10 years. Long decade. And I'm just going to say to you, Connor, whatever you want to absolve and resolve, do it now, because you will have the type of kick in the ass in your 30s, because this reason why I say it's cosmic. And I've seen this over and over again with many people, including myself from my generation, go through this, is there is a very important value and understanding that needs to happen when you enter into your 40s. My 40s have been my best decade. I'm going to be 49 in next month on April 9th. I'm going to be 49. Nice. My 40s have been the best because it's because of the reason why my 30s conditioned me. And because there were certain things I was stubborn about. There were certain behavior patterns, survival techniques of how I thought I needed to survive. I washed a lot of that away. It doesn't mean I still don't have residue and I'm still not faced with an echo in my 40s. I just have a better attitude. I've learned to come even when I'm being resistant or I'm being fearful or just stubborn. I'm much more relaxed now than I ever have been in my entire life. And that's because I kept learning and learning through life experiences and other people that what I was being arrogant about, and it was arrogance in my 20s, my 30s taught me everything to have the best decade of my 40s.
Wow. That is so amazing to hear. If I can piggyback off that, last thought for those of you listening, I have been told so much. Life is long. I know that the common phrase is life is short. So like, right, do your thing or do this, whatever. My wife and I have the phrase, life is long. There are a lot of chapters. There are a lot of things. And most importantly, the chapters to learn, just like you just said, Stephen, where for those of us like me who are in our late 20s and we're like, oh my God, here come the 30s, or in your 30s, oh my God, here come my 40s. It is constantly learning. There's no age where you can go, great, by 35, done. Like, no, that's not how life works. And your life will continue to be worse if you try to find that finite age where it's like, well, that's it, locked in my ways, locked in what I'm doing. It's inspiring to hear you say, Stephen, about just the learning and the continuing to grow. And even though you're an adult by society standards, you still have to learn, you still have to grow. And it just causes more confidence and better life and better understanding. So that's super cool for me to hear. And I hope those of you listening hear that too, that it's just everyone's on their own path. Everybody gets to change when you want and just be open to it. So there you go.
And this is why at times millennials get a bad rep for those who are in their 30s, because the decade of 30s is not very easy in itself. The reason why is when you're a teenager or in your 20s, consider your experience from your teens and now all the way up to 29. To be able to get roles and to do things, youth is power. When someone is in their 30s, it's almost like, oh, you're 32, you're 33, you're 36, you're 39, and you still don't have it together, or you're still in influx. Because 30s, right, when we think about the world outside of the world, it really is a decade and an age, no matter what number in your 30s you are. Society doesn't know what to do with you because you're no longer a kid and you're not considered an adult. It really is the go-between decade, not age. It's the go-between decade. It's a decade where you have the power to determine who you will be and how you will have your ownership for your adulthood. But even within your 30s, like you said, Connor, it is considered by society standards as an adult. Still, it's not an age, especially for the entertainment industry, where you're really that marketable.
You nailed it right on the head. That is it. They keep saying, they try to trend it up. Well, 30 is the new 40, or vice versa. Sorry, 40 is the new 30, 50, whatever. And it's just a fun way to say, please just go easy on yourself. It's a process, and there's no number that society can put on you to have any pressure. Just that's so great. Thank you, Stephen, for all of us.
You're welcome. I'm going to play something from your Instagram. And I'm not going to mute you. I want to have us both here togetherness.
Now, you're probably wondering how we stay so fit up here in the north during the winter time. Fancy workout move I like to call the mid-plow snow bow. Here's how it works. Let me show you. You take this device called a snow shovel, and you do the back-breaking work yourself. Now, make sure you use proper form. That means you grunt when you need to. Now, will it blow out your lower back? Absolutely. But you can't really complain about how cold it is because the temperature is finally up into the double digits. That's right, folks, 11 degrees. It's practically spring. Follow for more workout tips. We'll see you next time.
That is on your Instagram page, CONNORWEIL. I had to play that. I'm from New Jersey. I know all about snow, especially before I moved back to the West Coast. We had 2 feet during a pandemic.
Oh, no.
And you went from the LA life to that.
I did. I recently moved to the Midwest, and it's I'm embracing it, but it's still hard. It's still hard. And I apologize for my accent. It started Midwestern, and I definitely let some East Coast in there. So I apologize. Excuse me.
Don't even worry about it. You're talking to somebody from Jersey.
Oh, sure. I love it.
This is awesome. Connor, we are so wanting to stay longer. But you do have a life, you do have a family, you do have a son, and you do have an extraordinary career to look forward to. To everyone, tune in on Apple TV Plus, Acapulco. Season 2 is available now. It's streaming now. on Apple Plus TV. It is worth the money. I'm going to be honest. I love Apple TV Plus. It is worth every single penny. For myself, I'm going to need to do season 1 and season 2 because I have not watched it yet. I'm going to go into it. And because of you, and you talk to anybody at Apple TV Plus or whoever it may be, you let them know who I am. And because of this interview is why now I'm going to be a new watcher. And
I love it.
Show. Yeah.
You will not be sorry. You will love it. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
Any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to my family and all the people around me, but shout out to the people who are just trying to get their careers on track, whether you're an artist or not. Just keep going. Keep following your path. You're on the right path. Just trust it. That's all I got.
Any closing thoughts?
No, sir. I'm happy to be here. Let's talk again soon. I really enjoy our conversations.
Me too. And I take it Instagram is the go-to for you, or are you dip-dapping on TikTok now?
I am not on the TikTok train yet, but so Instagram is where it's at. Come say hello, and be happy to say hello back.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Connor. And big shout out to Brad Everett. You can go to, I think it's BradEverettYoung.com. I can't wait to talk to him. It's been too long.
I will shout out to Brad. I will make that connection happen, Stephen. Mark me. And thank you so much again. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Oh, here is a question from Austin. Austin said, I'm a big fan. Would you ever consider doing sci-fi films?
150%. 150%, Austin. Let's get it done.
All right. There you go. Well, we need to have a conversation with your agency and everyone else.
We'll do it. We'll do it. I'm looking forward to this future. The roles are opening up more and more. So lots of fun to come.
Thanks again, Connor.
Thank you, Stephen. We'll talk soon.
Thank you again to everyone for joining us here live on air with Stephen Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. Always remember, check the Power 98.5 website or on the app for the schedule for all upcoming shows. If you happen to either miss this show from the beginning with Connor, or just stepped in the middle, or feel which it is worth sharing with friends and family and colleagues, it will be available on all your favorite podcast platforms today: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, and Spotify. Always remember, Power 98.5 Satellite Radio is your premier destination for all great things: music, news, sports, talk, reality TV, film, and much more. Have a great day, everyone.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.